All right, so here I am. Here's the big bad wolf, okay? I'm the NPC bot nobody who commented on your video and just trying to give somebody some advice. If we're being honest, if we're just being real, like I was just trying to give you some advice, my G. So let's go ahead and see what I said. Brother, forgive me, this is my first time discovering your channel, but you sound a bit ungrateful or untitled. However, I really like the metaphor you made with trying something new to continue pushing more weight in the gym, and keep that metaphor because changing your diet doesn't mean you stop pushing weight, right? There's a point to that, right? So he's talking about how he wanted to take a break from his channel because he felt like he was reaching a plateau. And he was doing pretty good in life. He had moved out. He's working, presumably full time. He's making a little extra money on the side with his YouTube thing, and it's hitting a plateau. And he's unsatisfied, and he's got these other creative ideas that he wants to pursue, but for whatever reason, he feels like he can't pursue them in his current capacity. So he's talking about moving back in with his parents and doing things that way, right? But where I started to have an issue, and it's not even like a problem for real. Like, I don't have a issue with you, and you don't even have to care if I do. Like, it's no big deal. But like, where I started to notice something that I felt like I had seen before was with this whole idea of like, you know, jobs just wanted us to be slaves, and you work your whole life away to this system. You're a rat in the system, and you never really get anywhere. And he consistently says this phrase that I've heard that it just keeps going through my head because I've been there. You know, just as a brief introduction, like, I'm 28 years old. I'm living in a home by myself, and I'm going to get there. But like, this is where I'm coming from. When I'm talking, I'm born in 1998. You know, I cannot be that far off from where the part you were born in. Guess what? My dad wasn't around either, right? My dad's not in the picture. I've gotten Christmas gifts from him one time in my life. I met him when I was 13 years old. All right, so I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get what you're talking about, okay? When I was young, okay, I used to be like a fuck the system big time guy, and I still am. But there's like a level of accountability. Like, it's super easy to look out into the world and see all the conflicts and inconsistencies and absurdities with the world. But you know what's a lot more difficult? It's a lot more difficult to turn that mirror towards yourself and look through yourself to find those same things, because we all have them, my nigga. Whether you want to admit it or not, we've all got absurdities, contradictions, and shit that doesn't make goddamn sense about ourselves, okay? So back then, I used to talk in some of these similar ways, you know, slaving away my life, being a slave, you know, paying rent my whole life, own nothing, be happy. I mean, we've all seen the black pill content, you know, these Carl Schwab and the World Economic Forum, you know, clips about, you know, where our society's going. So like, I empathize with that feeling like it's all useless. I get it, right? But I'm coming from the same place you're coming from, and I know that that's true because watching your second video, you kind of dialed it back and made yourself a little bit more specific. You said, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, you can't work a job at all. Like, obviously you have to be able to create a platform for yourself. That's exactly what I'm describing, right? Like, it's okay that you move back in with your parents, that you work part-time. Like, if anybody, you know, if I made you feel like that was the wrong thing to do, I'm sorry. Like, I was just trying to challenge you with how you were talking about certain things. And let me be specific here, okay? When we talk about you know, paying rent, you know, and slaving away your whole life, you know, that's how it is for some people. I have a friend right now who had a kid when he was, I think, 18 years old, and he talks a lot like this. Now, granted, he's my age, okay? He's 28 years old, right? And he lives at home, and he's never lived on his own. He had a kid, but his parents are wealthy. When I talk to this guy about, like, you know, when he plans to buy a home, if he thinks he'll move off somewhere else and be somewhere else, he tells me, well, I'm honestly hoping that I can inherit my dad's house whenever he passes away. And keep in mind, his grandparents had money to pass down to his family, so he's doing good. You know, and this is somebody who gives me shit for the fact that I haven't, you know, he's got this bottle with all these stickers or whatever for all the national parks that he's been to. He's been to California. He's been to, you know, the sequoia trees. He's been here, you know what I mean? I haven't traveled like that, you know? And you could say it's because I've been slaving away, whatever. Not necessarily true. Not true at all, really. But the fact of the matter is like, it comes down to how you see value, right? Like, this is somebody who has had so many things paid for him. Somebody who has not really had to push themselves, and at 28 years old, he drives a forklift. Now, I'm not here to criticize him for the position that he's in. That's not what this is about. This is my best friend. But I would be lying. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that there was a certain element to his mind state that I think actually kind of keeps him in that position, right? So if you listening to this, if you are even listening to this, can sort of stretch yourself outside of your own mind, even if this isn't you, which I don't necessarily believe that it is. But there are people, and I think some of these people are in your comment section, if I'm just being real with you. There are people who are in these kind of positions, and, you know, like I go back and forth with him all the time about, like, his idea of value of things. Like, you know, we're really into guns and stuff like that, and he wants a really nice, short-barreled AR-15, you know, and he's like, I just feel like $1,200, $1,300 is insane for an AR. Don't get me wrong, gun prices have gone up. You know, there was once a time you could get guns for a little bit cheaper than that. But when you look at, like, the long scale of how long guns have been around, how the technology has improved, you know, you look at how much the Tommy gun sold for back in, like, the 40s or whatever. It was expensive then. It was really expensive. Like, few people could even afford one, right? Like, the original Tommy gun that everybody remembers. Nobody could afford that shit. Okay, so it's always sort of been this way. Like, it's worse now in certain regards, but there are other things, forms of media, which have largely retained their value. Video games is another great example. When you look at all the free-to-play games with the optional microtransactions, even when you look at the $60 and the now $70 games, you know, they're loaded with microtransactions, don't get me wrong, but if you're somebody who can tell yourself all these microtransactions are literally just the Matrix trying to, like, suck money from me, you can just ignore them. Like, I can't tell you how many video games I play. Battlefield, Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, you know, Dragon's Dogma, Elden Ring, you name it. Like, all these games that I play, Elden Ring, I don't know if they have microtransactions, but all these games have microtransactions, and I just ignore them. You know what I mean? But somebody in his shoes may spend that money on the Battle Pass, may spend that money on this. And we're not, you know, so we're arguing about how expensive guns are, but we're not going to talk about the fact that you'll actually spend $10 on a virtual fucking skin in a video game. Or on a battle pass that gives you a collection of skins in a video game. Something that you're going to play for a year or two, and then the new one comes out, and you will never use those things again. Right? Like, and in the same way, it kind of reminds me of how people talk about, like, dollar stores, the phenomenon with dollar stores. Go do some research into this. For most items, if you go into a dollar store and you buy just the one little 3-pack of toilet paper or deodorant or whatever, it's actually normally more expensive than what it would be if you went to Sam's Club and you got the 6-pack of the same thing. Or if you went to Costco and you got the 6-pack of the same thing, the deodorant. You can save so much money when you buy these things in bulk, but the problem is a lot of these people are living so paycheck to paycheck, they continue shopping at the Dollar Tree to meet their needs, and so they're actually spending and losing more money, buying things more, taking more trips out there. And all it takes is a little bit of jumping that gap so that you can start to afford these things and establish that platform for yourself. But let me kind of loop back here to what I'm getting at. So, you know, at one point, he's talking about working your life away, right? And so when I bring up this friend of mine, you know, he kind of talks in a similar way. But again, as I mentioned, he drives a forklift, right? Like, you can only, just like you were talking about how you hit a plateau with your content, you can only make so much money driving a forklift in some warehouse, right? But, like, sometimes earning a certificate or a license, you know, getting trained on a specific trade can only take 6 months to a year. I mean, we're talking about a quarter of the time it takes you to get a bachelor's degree. And we all know how many people are going and getting bachelor's degrees, you know, loading themselves up with debt, and they literally cannot pay it off. I didn't go that route either, right? So I understand, you know, whether you want to call them NPCs or, I don't like to call people that because people are just misguided. You know what I mean? So The people who go and get the college degree today and they're, 4-year degree, $60,000 in debt, and they can't even fucking find a job, I feel for those people. You know what I mean? Because they wanted to put some level of faith in the system to build that platform so that they can explore whatever creative dreams they have. Here's the thing. Everybody has creative dreams like that. Now, how creative everybody is and how much people want to like build their life around that varies from person to person. But I'm somebody who makes music. I used to have dreams of becoming a rapper out here where I live, So I get where you're coming from. But the thing about it is you can only complain so much before you start to sound like you're out of touch. And again, when you talk about people, it comes down to two options from you. Either you move back in with your parents and you work part-time and you start investing in your creative dream, or as you had originally mentioned, you pause producing content on your YouTube channel. At least that's what it sounded like you were saying, even though you uploaded this video. You pause content on that video or on that channel, and you move back in. Oh shit, I think I just got confused. Okay, so the two options were either you pause the channel, you move back in with your parents, you work part-time and you kind of explore your creative, or you slave away. That's what I was trying to say. So it's either you do what you were saying you were doing, or you slave away your whole life. Dog, it is not that simple. Like, you can get a job, an entry-level career, step yourself in, invest some time into it, invest some energy into it for 1 to 2 years of your life. I mean, I started my career when I was, I think, 21 years old. I'm 28 now. So in 7 years, I am in a home that I bought with all of my own money. In my garage, I have a Toyota Camry, a cheap car that I bought with my own money, and it's paid off. Like, these are things that you can do if you're willing to, like, take a very difficult and sort of like self-constructive look at all the things you're tempted to spend money on. Now, let me level with you a little bit more. I'm somebody who smokes weed. I smoke weed every day. I've been doing it for almost 10 years, okay? You're talking to somebody who goes and buys, an ounce of weed a month, right? How much is an ounce of weed out here? Well, it varies, but you could spend anywhere between like 120 or at the low end, $100, all the way up to like 160, 180. So like if you're talking about 180 a month, or if you're getting 2 of those a month, you're spending like $300 a month on weed. Like, that is a stupid expense. And the reason why I bring that up is because you have somebody in your comment section saying this: humans charging humans to survive is evil. Now, I know how people are. As soon as I try to bring up my own flaw, people are, well, I don't have that issue. Well, I don't have that problem. Look, your Netflix account, and I think I even put some of this here in this comment, which I'm going to delete after watching this, by the way, because I do think you kind of like got what I was saying, but you were also still you felt slighted by where I was coming from or whatever. And again, genuinely, sincerely, I apologize. Like, I was not trying to, it was just kind of like my first thought listening to you, and it really reminded me of where I was when I was in a similar position. Like I say, 28 years old right now. Just a few months ago, my grandfather passed away. And it was actually my grandfather who kind of got me to start looking more critically at how I was behaving at the time. My grandfather and I got into it. He's telling me I wasn't doing shit. I'm smoking weed in the basement. I'm working some dead-end job, and I'm not paying rent to live there. I'm helping out with groceries or whatnot, but it wasn't enough. And one day, he held me by the neck, and I'm just a fucking shit-faced teen, just being an asshole, so I'm just kind of like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And he's my grandpa. He wasn't strong enough to, strangle me, you know what I mean? So he's just holding my neck, gripping as hard as he can, and I'm just kind of standing there, and he's screaming at me, like, what value do you provide to this world? What do you provide to this family? If you got a girlfriend today who wants to have a child, how are you establishing that foundation for them? What are you doing with yourself? And like, these are pretty straightforward questions. I'm sure we've all kind of asked ourselves these questions in some capacity, but just something about the veracity of that moment kind of broke through that ego shield that I think we all have, where we want to believe in ourselves. It broke through that, and I was like, huh, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Like, that's the last option any of us want to accept from some fucking commenter online. And I'm not even saying that you're wrong, but I want you to just be aware of what I'm responding to. When I look at this, humans charging humans to survive is evil. Is evil. This is the community that I'm seeing upon my first time walking into your video, and you're talking about a plateau. Well, let me tell you, I follow a couple other channels that remind me immediately of what you're doing. You could call these sort of black pill content channels. Benedictine of Truth. I follow this guy. I've seen a bunch of his videos. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. You know, boom. It's acting like I haven't watched all these all the way through. Totally have. Boom, boom, boom. Almost all the videos I watch all the way through. And you can see all of his contents all of his content is sort of like the same thing. Still can't stand the fact that God is evil. Something about a loosh farm. If you look, people talk about like harvesting your energy and all your distress and things. AI, ancient intelligence, is the God of this reality. I can't wait to see the God's true colors. You know, I wonder if God himself would make it to heaven. This life's so horrible that having a kid is questionable. You didn't fail. It's just a hell realm. Like, and then this guy, The Prison Called Life. I've seen a couple of his videos. I haven't watched a whole lot of him. But it's the same kind of thing. Our lives are completely pointless. Relationships are a terrible deal. It's a scam. Why do we create more people? Is it really over if you're unattractive? You know? So forgive me if your content is very different from this kind of thing that I'm seeing as tragic reality. When I click on it and I look real quickly, let's just see what it's, because this is my litmus test for certain things, you know. Like, let me tell you, back in the day, I used to have a friend of mine who loved Russell Brand. I mean, he swore by Russell Brand. And you could watch one of Russell Brand's videos and you could really think like, man, he's really speaking out about the system and waking up, and people, hello, you million awakening wonders, we're back, Russell Brand, we're gonna fight this system, we're gonna take them down. But then you look at his channel. It's over. This is bad. Leaked. We're fucked. Shocking. It's over. This is bad. Shocking. We're fucked. This is bad. Caught. It's over. Are you noticing a pattern here? Right? Okay. So for a sentient human being like myself, who's not an NPC, I can look at this pattern and clearly recognize this is not a genuine person. This is not an authentic person. This is what we call a grift. Okay? In the same way, while these people, I think, are far more genuine, going through real things in their own life, I see elements of the same thing. And it's not even that they are trying to take advantage of other people. Like, I think that the intentions are completely different between somebody like this and somebody like Russell Brand. However, I think that the internal issue that I see between somebody like this and maybe somebody like yourself is relatively the same. The idea that the trap is ultimately the cage, the system, the cycle, the trap is ultimately your mind itself and nothing else. It's not me telling you that there's nothing wrong with working a full-time career and not moving back in with your parents. That's not the system coming for you. The system is you believing that actually is so bad and intolerable that you can't do it. And it goes back to what I was describing earlier with like Dollar Tree, Dollar General instead of Sam's Club. Like, people think by going to these quick, cheap things, you know, that they can meet their needs and save money and kind of keep going in life. But though that very system itself is what perpetuates poverty. People are paying more for things that they could otherwise buy in a 5-pack and get for significantly cheaper. I mean, even just, I'm almost sure that you could go to Walmart and get one stick of deodorant cheaper than you would at the Dollar Tree. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean. And it's these systems of thinking that, well, I'm just down here, you know, and I can only afford this, I can only afford that, you know, I can only really do this. Oh, I have all these creative things, but I don't want to work to pursue them. I want to move back in with my parents. Okay, nothing wrong with that, by the way. Where I took issue and brought up the whole metaphor about your parents being slaves was how you were talking about people who choose to work full time, even when they don't want it. Like, I don't want to be working full time. I have creative ideas when it comes to streaming, when it comes to, you know, making music. I write music that's kind of difficult. It's self-reflective. It talks about things that some people may not be comfortable listening to, right? But it deals with difficult, nuanced, complicated topics. That's what I like to do. That's what I'm into, right? I've been working full time for 7-8 years. I still make music when I can, you know, and if I'm being honest with you, as far as my own creative dreams and pursuing them has nothing to do with my full-time job. Nothing to do with it. Like, I work full-time and I come home and I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I'll play video games. I'll watch YouTube. That's the easy one. You just get sucked into watching YouTube for a 3-hour fucking rabbit hole or 2 hours of your evening. And then you might start to feel some creative gist, you know, some creative mojo spinning up, and you sit down and you try to fucking put something together and you kind of get frustrated and you just say, screw it, you know, and then you go back to doing what you're doing. Whose fault is that? Is that the system? You know, I don't know what your creative dreams are, but I think, like, if you're working, he kept saying 9 to 5. If you're getting off work at 5 o'clock, you've got like 6 hours into the evening to work on something. You know, you're working 8 hours of the day, you got 6 hours left. You've got time to put something together. I'm not saying that you have to work within those boundaries. If you want to move back in with your parents, that's cool. But when you say, like, I'm not trying to be like one of these slaves, I'm not trying to be somebody who works their whole life away just to only rent something, there's like layers of assumptions that you're making, and we're arguing about shit up here. But, like, bro, you do not have to pay rent your whole life. You don't. I'm the proof of it. You do not have to do that. And the reason this frustrates me so much is because I argue with the friend that I brought up at this beginning of this video. He calls me Jewish. He calls me Israel. Oh, you know, go talk to Bibi Netanyahu. And he says it out of love just to give me shit or whatever. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like there was some underlying sense of, like, truth to what he's saying. Like, he literally thinks that I just had shit handed to me. And I want you to see the irony in what we're talking about here. This is somebody who has lived alone their whole life. Their parents have brought them all over the country. They tease me about the places that I haven't been to, the national parks I haven't visited, the states and scenery that I haven't seen. And, you know, so many things for their child are provided for them, both between their mother and their father. Like this dude's mom and his dad, the kid's grandparents. And he himself, having 2 other brothers who have moved out and are doing their own thing, he himself wants to just inherit his dad's stuff. His dad's home, you know, the safe. I mean, think of all the things that people, that's one thing that's been blowing my mind since I moved into a house. You walk into an average middle-class household and just look at everything in their house, and I want you to realize how much money is in there. How much money it takes to accumulate something like, I mean, look at my office. It's like empty. You know what I mean? I'm still putting shit together. Right? Like, everything I buy my goddamn self. I put it together my goddamn self. This cabinet, you know, I just got it. Put it together. Use it for organizing my cables. A new standing desk here. Just got it. Put it together. You know, my old desk. Built it. Stained it. Put it together. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't mean to sound angry. I'm passionate. You know what I mean? Like, I truly feel for what you're talking about. And unfortunately, I think that it kind of got off to, like, a hostile start from the beginning. But I was just trying to challenge and sort of massage your brain to look at how you're describing these people who work a full-time job and aren't happy. Yes, there are some of them who are. I used to work at FedEx as a package handler, okay? 18 years old, package handler in FedEx, working the night shift, okay? It's a graveyard shift. I'm in there at 3 a.m., you know, moving packages into a trailer, right? Scan, beep, you know, moving into the trailer. All around me. I'm 18. I'm 18. Okay, dropped out of high school early, by the way. Didn't even graduate. Got my high school equivalents and went to college. All the people around me, 40 years old. 50 years old. Some of them, you know, you can tell that they've done some fucking drugs. You know, I never understood it. Somebody told me that this is some kind of thing. You can tell that they're doing meth. But, like, you'd have these skinny, fat kind of dudes. Like, I'm a big dude, but, like, this is a skinny dude, but it's got, like, pudge on him. Like, drinks beer every day or whatever. And he's got, like, some unclean face, and he's, you know, looks beat to shit through life. And he's buying this big-ass cup of chocolate milk. And then he'd even go and get another chocolate milk after our break. And I never understood, like, why is this grown-ass man drinking chocolate milk like that? Turns out, apparently, meth heads, you know, when they're doing meth or whatever drug it is you're doing, you drink chocolate milk and it helps with the cotton mouth or some shit. I don't know. That's just what I was told by the people in that area, you know. And then you work Amazon with some of these people, same kind of thing. Like, you know, I'm somebody, I started my own business, you know, doing IT work for other small customers. You know, I have my own career that I work in, and I'm very passionate about music, philosophy, you know, video games. I play those things all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm unhappy with life just like you. You know, if there's anything you and I can firm handshakes on and understand, like, life fucking sucks, you know, and something is clearly wrong with the system, for sure. Absolutely. But I would be lying if some of it wasn't in your, if I told you that some of it maybe wasn't in your head. Just like, that's it. Even if you disagree, if you think that your situation's different, which it probably is, you're going to move back in. And after listening to this video, it sounds a lot more rational, just by the way. Like, I listened to your most recent video. You're talking about how, like, it's kind of like a happy medium between the two. You're not saying that you're just going to go mooch off them. But I just wanted you to understand, like, when you talk about these people that work their whole lives and they don't go anywhere, and you don't want to be one of those people, I'm not telling you to be one of those people. But in this ironic kind of twist, and come on, man, please be honest with me. And this sort of ironic twist, you said, my parents aren't slaves. That's not what surprised me. You said, my mom doesn't have to work full time, and my dad doesn't really have to work. He just kind of chooses to, or whatever. Right? So here you have two parents yourself who work the 9 to 5 and are in positions for whatever reason, ways that they've set themselves up, that they don't really have to. And whatever creative dreams that they have that they haven't followed up on, I mean, that's kind of, everyone has their own journey to navigate with pursuing those things. Of course, the corporate system makes it difficult. It beats you down and wears you out so that you don't have energy to do it. So if you got to just get away from it all to pursue your creative dream, cool. My issue was the way you, like, casted this judgment on and you're very much clearly a part of this community that uses the terms NPCs, bots. Like, I hate that terminology because, again, I think of my friend. By your standards, my friend is an NPC. He's working at that warehouse. He's complaining about how the world isn't getting any better. But at the same time, he's benefiting completely off of his family, and he's getting a lot of his shit paid for, and he's entitled to receive certain things for free, like he's hoping to inherit a home. But he's also going to talk about, like, how everything is too expensive, and it doesn't make sense, and it's stupid, and none of it makes any sense. It's all delusional. But somebody like that who's working that dead-end job, and who, if it wasn't for his parents' resources, would be working and renting all their life, he would be an NPC. And here's the creative thing, you know, whatever creative dreams he has, he's not pursuing them. You know, he's probably different. I don't know that he's into, like, music or, like, producing, like, short films or anything like that's not really his thing. He's, you know, we go shooting recreationally. He might go hunting. He might go fishing. You know, that's kind of his creative drive. And he still has the capacity to do that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Sometimes it's not always just, like, black or white. It's not always this or that. Like, when you talk about moving back in with your parents and working part-time or living out a wage slave for the rest of your life, there's nuance to that, bro. That's all I'm saying. That is it. And it's not even so much with you, but, like, when I look at a comment like this, like, really, you like this one, and I'm not criticizing that, but, like, I want you, like, really think about what this person's saying. Humans charging humans to survive is evil. Okay, so this person wants a free home or a free apartment, free water, free maintenance on the apartment, or potentially free lawn care on a home, free food, free electricity, and I don't know what they think surviving means, because there's a difference between surviving and thriving. But I would assume they also want like free internet, a free phone, free Netflix, free movies. Like, I don't know what surviving looks like to this commenter of yours. I really don't. But like, the irony in a perspective like this is, who's gonna fucking run the water and make sure it's clean and do the tests and make sure that we're making sure we have enough and that the reservoirs are filled? Who's gonna run the power company? Who's gonna construct the homes and wire the electricity through them and install the all the appliances and shit like that? Who's gonna do that if this person is unwilling to do any of it? Who? Humans charging humans to survive is evil. Is this person gonna go build a house for somebody to live in for free? Are you gonna do that? Are they gonna go work at a water company to go pump water to a community for free? Like, really think about that. Like, this is the very, like, there are, and again, this is something I talk with him about. Like, there are so many things that people spend money on that they don't need. Again, I'm one of them. If you're somebody who likes going to your Dutch Bros or your Starbucks and you get a coffee, maybe once a week or twice a week. I mean, look, I'm not saying you don't deserve a coffee. Everybody is entitled to whatever, it is they seek in life. But like, I would be lying if I told you that that wasn't something that you're probably paying way too much for. Like, the markup on a coffee at Starbucks is way off than you making something like that yourself. And there was once a time where we didn't feel as humans like we were missing out to not, because if you take the argument that you may give, well, are you saying that people don't even deserve to be able to buy a coffee once a week? If you apply that logic to every other fucking enticing thing that's shoved into your face, then you're going to just spend all your money anyways. The new iPhone came out. You want to get that because you deserve it. The new Apple Watch came out. You want to get that because you deserve it. Oh, Netflix has a new show you want to watch. You're going to pay for Netflix because you deserve it. Oh, you really like listening to music. You're going to pay for that because you deserve it. Like, dude, I'm somebody who's all into this like technology revolution of like spinning up your own. That's one thing that I did. Spun up my own server, start putting my own music on it, set up a VPN so that I can open an app on my phone and listen to my own music, stream my own music anywhere in the country for free, and save $10 a month on Spotify. Am I a fucking bot? Am I an NPC for doing that? Or is the NPC the person who's still paying for Netflix, for Spotify, for some fucking whatever other bullshit service they pay for? They're still buying the coffees at Starbucks. They're still fucking spending money on this dumb thing and this dumb thing, but they're complaining about, and they still work in that same plateau job, and they're still complaining about where they are in life. I mean, everybody hits plateaus. I'm in one right now. What do I have to do? I need to study for a certificate so that I can increase my salary. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to study for my certificate. And guess what? As soon as I'm done with my certificate, I'm taking my free time back and I'm investing back into music because I want to make an album before 2030. So I'm investing my time into music. There are ways that you can, and again, like, I'm 28 years old. I'm not paying rent. I'm not even 30, bro. Nobody bought me shit. This hoodie, I bought it. This hat, I bought it. My earring, I bought it. These headphones, I bought it. This microphone, I bought it. Computer, I bought it. Nigga, like, bro. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. It takes dedication. And I know that you've got it, and I believe in some of these people in your community to have it too. But I just want to be real when and I hope that we can come to some kind of agreement, some kind of, understanding that moves us both forward, because that's all I'm trying to do, man. Like, I support you moving, and I know you don't care how I feel, and that's fine. But just in case you need to hear it, like, I support you moving back in with your parents, working part-time, and investing in your creative dream. I support that. You know, I just don't want you to think it's impossible to do working a full-time job. That's it. Like, and it may, you mentioned how your life has been better living on your own. You know, you don't argue with your parents as much. Yeah, I have an abusive alcoholic mother who is absolutely batshit insane and has a therapist and uses the therapist to justify the abuse that she causes towards everybody else in our family, including my grandma. Trust me, it's not just me. My grandma, my uncle, my aunt, everybody gets abused by my mom. And if I try to say anything to my mom, again, she's so stacked on layers of bullshit that I can't even have a conversation with her about it. Okay, my life improved drastically when I moved out. And the creative freedom, the creative energy that I felt was just different being on my own. You know, because it's like, I gotta get it. You know what I mean? I gotta make something happen. You know, part of my creative energy went into building my business. And my business has now built a monthly recurring revenue stream that is nice. Kind of like what you're doing with your YouTube channel. It's nice, but it's not really what you wanted. You know, you didn't want your creative thing to be this YouTube channel is what it sounds like. Or at least like the what's the word? The category that your YouTube channel is in. And just like I didn't want mine to be my business. Like I want to do other creative things that are far more creative than a business, right? But yeah, man, just do whatever it is you want to do. Know that you have my support. Know that I don't think that you're lazy, but also, and hopefully you can understand or see where I'm coming from when I say that whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's anybody else in your comments section, when you talk about things this way and when the argument happens so easily, like, it creates this environment where anybody in that chat, in that comment section, or you yourself could be a lazy motherfucker, could be a bum. Your room looks like shit. You can't even hardly see your floor. You got posters and holes in the walls, and you don't wash your own clothes. You barely take care of yourself. Like, anybody could be that person complaining about the world and not doing anything to help themselves. Anybody. And so when you refuse to self-reflect, when you refuse to like take criticism or to even just try to see the middle ground in the criticism, you can sometimes miss those bigger points that somebody's trying to make to you. And I apologize because I led with, I said forgive me, but you sound kind of entitled here because I wasn't understanding. I wasn't quite sure what you were going for. So I take that comment back. But I think you see where my middle ground is. Like, I don't want you to think that if you work a 9 to 5 or if you take an entry-level career position now, I don't know what age you are, but let's just say you're 21. If you work until you're 26, 27, and still use your free time for creative processing and creative, drive, you might be able to end up in a similar position where your car is paid off, your house is, you're in a house, you're not really worried about, like, having to get the next job, having to make the next, big leap in salary. You can kind of sit back, put it in neutral, and focus on your own life. Bro, I'm not even 30. I can't remember how old Kendrick Lamar was. He's one of my favorite rappers. How old was Kendrick Lamar when he blew up? Sure. He was 25. And I can't remember if it was his, when he dropped Good Kid, Mad City, because this is the one that put him on. Yeah, 25 years old. Crazy. Like, some people start their careers later in life. It's just, they start the creative journey, and he was always making music. But some people don't actually make it until later in life, and that's okay. There are people who blew up even later than Kendrick. And I'm not saying that you got to be somebody to get in line and wait either. I'm just saying it's not this or that. That's all I'm saying. It's not either you move back in with your parents and you go full-time into creative, or you're never going to get to be creative ever in your life and you're going to be a wage slave for the rest of your life. That is it. Okay? I feel like I've made myself clear. I'm not going to keep going in circles here. But, hey, man, I love you, bro. I wish the best for you. People in your comment section, wish the best for them, too. Didn't mean to, like, kick up some whole-ass big fuss. And first and foremost, or above all, like, as a man, I apologize for what I said not only to make you feel the way that you did, but for even leading with, you know, the video, your words sounding as entitled. I apologize for leading with that, you know, because it wasn't the best way of conveying what I was trying to say. You know, all I was trying to say was what I said here in this video. So I'm going to leave it there. If you still disagree with me, you hate me, you think I'm an NPC, hey, I did what I did. But yeah, man, stay strong, do your thing. I'll see you.